I was so over being a babyface. I was like, no one's buying this. I honestly felt like there was a ceiling for me that I was not able to break.
Welcome everyone to Ring the Bell. This is DS, and today she looks so good to me. We're here with Eve Torres. Yes!
I'm here. Thanks for having me.
I've been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Well, we did it. We're here.
Finally here.
Yeah.
Finally here. So today we're going to do a top 5 best Eve Torres moments.
All right, let's take a look.
Let's do it. The first moment.
The winner of the 2007 WWE Divas Search is Eve! Oh my gosh!
Is you winning the 2007 Divas Search.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for that moment. So even though it's a little cringeworthy watching it for me now, it all started that day.
What went through your head?
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. How my life was about to change in such a major way. And it was an incredible moment. Definitely a highlight of my life, not just my career.
From here to becoming a backstage interviewer and to stepping into your first time in the ring, I mean, what kind of training process was that?
Oh, they just threw me in there. I had very minimal training at that point. That's the thing about my in-ring experience. It was like sink or swim, and it was like you just got to kind of learn on the fly. I was training down at the time, which was FCW. But, you know, when you look at my overall ring experience that I had by the time when I started wrestling, it was very minimal. I got to learn in front of the fans, in front of everybody, and don't worry, they let me know how I was doing.
Was there anyone backstage that really tutored you?
Oh my gosh, I had the best people supporting me. I had the best mentors. I remember, obviously, Natty, she was somebody who walked me through some of my first matches, my first live events. I remember, Fit Finley, of course, was a huge champion for the women's division, then the Divas division. I remember the first match I ever had, I come back and it was with Natty, not my first match, my first live event kind of loop, really. And then we've got Edge helping us critique our matches. So I had the best mentors possible going into the business, and I think I was so hungry to learn, and they appreciated that, so they were willing to give their feedback and support.
Awesome. Let's go to our second moment, and
what is it?
Battle Royal last week to earn this opportunity. Look at this! Look at the moonsault. Great block by Eve. Roll through shoulders down. Look at the foot. Eve Torres. Look at the
you winning your first Divas Championship against Maurice.
Maurice, yes. I loved working against Maurice. She was a great heel. This was obviously a career highlight. I always felt like it was very early in my career to win a championship, but it was the beginning of it all. So it was really a special moment to me too.
The adjective that goes a lot with your title reigns, it was surprise. Because also with Royal Rumble, when you were inserted into a match between Natalya and Lei Cool.
Yep.
This will no longer be a handicap match, but instead a fatal 4-way Divas Championship match.
That was a surprise to everyone. How did that happen?
Oh, it was a surprise to me too. Literally that morning I find out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, this is happening. And you don't always know the reasons why things turn out the way they did, but I'm glad it did. It was a part of my career. It was a really meaningful match, and there were some meaningful stories that were going on for that time. So I was just happy to be a part of it.
Let's go to our next moment. The top 3 is...
One contender for the Divas Champion. Beth Phoenix calls herself, quote, advantage of Beth Phoenix with the going to do the standing moonsault.
I'm jealous, but like he said, they
man.
quote. Wait a minute.
Beth Phoenix ran right into the devil. Oh, nice deep trouble.
Your explosive match against Beth.
This is one of my career highlights as well.
Oh my God. How was it working with veteran like Beth Phoenix?
It was a dream come true. Beth is one of those people who is so talented, but also so good at helping others. You can be talented and not necessarily be a good teacher, right? Or be a good leader. She was talented and an incredible leader, and I was so lucky to be able to work with her. Here I go. That takes so much trust, and I had the ultimate amount of trust in her, and I think that she is what gave me confidence in the ring. My experiences with her, I worked with her for so long, and I think my confidence in the ring came from my working with her and Natty.
How was it like teaming up with Kelly and Alicia Fox during that time?
Yeah, it was fun. Those were, there were fun days, and we had fun matches. I think at the time, it reminds me just how much more we wanted at that time and weren't really given. So I have kind of mixed feelings about those times. You know, I feel like we wanted to be able to do more in the ring and have better stories, which we didn't really have the opportunity to do.
Got it. Well, speaking of this glam slam finisher, your finisher was swinging neck breaker and moonsault. How did that came about?
Gosh, how did that come? Well, the moonsault was, I was at a gymnast background, so I was like, let's try it, let's do it, and I just had fun with it. The swinging net breaker, well, it was actually something that I worked with Fit on, you know, other people in the past had used similar technique, similar finisher, so it was something that Fit Finley kind of like, you know, got with him and came up with it, and it looked devastating and great, and it was an awesome finisher. Yeah, and had a lot of ways to reverse out of it, so a lot of false finishes, stuff like that.
So let's go to fourth moment.
All right.
It is?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Just like I used Zack Ryder, I'm gonna use John Cena.
Stop! No! Just give me a minute, please. Give me a minute.
For your information, I'm disease-free. I'd like to keep it that way.
The opening segment of Raw where everyone got shocked. Shocked!
Yes, this was one of my career highlights as well.
How did you feel going through this segment?
This was my, when you talk about my personal career highlights, this was definitely one of them. Turning heel was so much fun for me. I was so over being a babyface. I was like, no one's buying this. Let's just get over it, and having a meaningful story that people connected with.
Okay.
And a good, you know, a good babyface like Zack Ryder to work with. Like this was everything to me. This was like a huge moment for me, and I really started having fun with wrestling at this point.
I want to talk a little bit about that because you were really improving in the ring. You were having that really cool moveset. You were really becoming a solid competitor. Character-wise, this was like a whole 180 where people got you right away.
Yeah.
What do you think happened?
Story. That's it. It's like finally I had a story to tell and enough time to tell it. And, you know, and a story that people got behind with characters that people cared about. So I'm just saying hi to Funaki over there. That's all that's all you need, right? Is just to be able to have a chance to tell a story. So the fact that I was finally able to do that, heel or babyface, I loved it. And I preferred heel than babyface in terms of like the type of character. I just had way more fun.
The last moment.
Let's see which one it is.
Eve does not like Kaitlyn, and I guarantee you she's not going to like this. The Belle's at one. Oh, and Eve! Said Eve here tonight. Well, watch Eve here. She better be careful. Oh, man! Eve's in trouble! Kaitlyn! Sometimes they say fool Eve. And there's Kaitlyn! Kaitlyn with a spear! Take it out, Eve!
It is your last match against
This would have been
Kaitlyn.
mine too, yeah.
So this was your literal last match,
Yep.
and then you quit.
Yep, I did.
How did this all came about?
Yeah, you know, this is important to me because when I told them that I was going to be moving on from WWE, you know, again, at the time, they were not investing into women's stories. And it was going to be one of those things where I just like went away and I had the title and I was like, I was like, the one thing I want when I leave is to make this title mean something a little bit more than what it did when I was here. The fact that I had the opportunity to give it to somebody else, like to Kaitlyn, and to pass that on, I had to work very hard for that. I fought for that moment because they weren't going to give it to us or me. And that was all I wanted. I'm like, I want this to matter. I want this title to matter. I want women's wrestling to matter. And, you know, it's a drop in the bucket of where we're at now. But for me, it was really meaningful that I was finally able to pass something on. And it was in her hometown. Yeah. And that was just special to me that I got to, you know, like that's the whole part of wrestling is storytelling so that you can make other people care about not just you, but the other people you work with. And I felt like that was a moment where I got to do that. I
mean, so this storyline with Kaitlyn all came out with a mistake because of the Battle Royal.
Yep.
Eve eliminated.
It's so hard to watch because it's like in that moment I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get fired. That reaction from Layla was 100% real. She was like, this bitch.
What was your reaction then?
Oh my gosh. Sometimes the best stories come from like mistakes, honestly. Yeah. It was basically a botched spot where I was supposed to win and she did. Yeah. And she won the Battle Royal. And, you know, it's like, I was like in tears afterwards. I was like, oh my God, I ruined everything. But honestly, it created a more interesting story that we then got to, had that not happened, it probably would have been a very cookie cutter women's title experience, you know, or Divas title at the time. It made it more interesting. So in hindsight, I was like, yes, I'm so glad that happened. So
what was your decision to like leave when you were on top of your career?
I quit. I quit.
You
Yeah.
were ruling that division.
Yeah, I think once you've seen where you feel like was your top moment, you have to look at it and say, is this enough? And at the time, I honestly felt like there was a ceiling for me that I was not able to break. And we've come up so far in where the women's division is now. Like if you had told me, when I was there that women were going to headline WrestleMania, I would have said, get out of here. That's never going to happen. Part of it was just where I really felt like I was being kind of controlled by other things that weren't just me or my skill set or my work ethic. And I didn't like that. And I wanted to, but I also was in a personal time in my life, which, I was getting married. I wanted to start a family. I was helping my husband's business, which I'm now a huge part of, kind of overseeing and involved in my family business and teaching women self-defense. So I had a passion that I was excited to jump into from there.
And I want to talk about that because you are now teaching women self-defense. Why is that important to you?
It is everything to me because it's basically instilling the confidence in women that I feel like I didn't have at a younger age. And I think that even when you look at the general population, I felt confident in certain ways, but there were other ways that I did not really understand my worth or my value or how to set boundaries with other people and how to feel kind of physically in control of my body. And so giving women that tool and that experience is life-changing, not just for me, but for them. And it really does feel like my life calling, and it's something that I love doing. And I'm not only doing it myself, but also certifying other women to teach in their communities to offer this. That's so amazing. That women's self-defense becomes accessible all over the world.
Last question. So you appeared at Evolution.
I did.
And a lot of people losing their mind.
Yes, what's going to happen? Yeah.
Will there be a comeback? And if so, who's the one person in current roster that you were interested in kind of mixing up with?
Oh gosh, I know. I'm like obsessed with the women's roster right now. There's so much character, like not just talent, like there's great talent, but there's so many different characters that I'm like just loving. I mean, obviously I love Becky Lynch. She's just the man, right? So I would love to face her and challenge her if I came back. If I stop having kids, then maybe that'll happen.
Eve Torres versus Becky Lynch. I want to see it. All right, that was our top 5 moments. Thank you so much. Is there one thing you want to tell your fans?
Thanks for supporting me all of these years, even when I was fighting for something that I feel like I never really got to accomplish what I truly wanted to. But it's so worth it now, seeing where women's wrestling is today. And I appreciate you guys contributing to this and telling me your favorite moments in my career.
How can the women join your self-defense classes?
So for one, you can follow me on Instagram at Eve Torres Gracie. You can also follow Women Empowered, which is the self-defense program that I teach, at Women Empowered GJJ. Or you can go to gracieuniversity.com, and you can not only find a school or a certified training center in your area, but you can also learn from home. So we have people that are learning from me and my husband who are teaching directly to you from home all over the world. So you can learn self-defense from the comfort of your home.